Don't worry about it.
Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML, a year of magical learning. If you are new here, hello. If you are returning, hello again,
Yeah.
and welcome back. Today, we'll be talking about a traveler's gift. So take it away, Chris.
Yeah. So the book that we're talking about today is called The Traveler's Gift. It's the subtitle in this one is The 7 Decisions That'll Determine Personal Success by Andy Andrews. Andy, yeah. I don't know where I found this book. I'm not going to lie. And I didn't really love it either. It was interesting. It was okay. Actually, I remember this one I read in Hawaii as well. And it was a pretty short read. I guess I learned some good lessons from it, but I don't know. I don't know where I came across this book at, to be honest with you. I mean, this is like one of those random weird ones that I'm like, I don't know. But the book itself is about this it's a fictional book about this guy named David Ponder, and this guy feels like his life is failing all around him. He used to have a good job and used to make good money and used to feel important, and then he lost his job and now he's working like minimum wage, and then his daughter gets sick or gets into an accident, I think, or she becomes ill, and he can't afford to like take care of her because he's not making good money anymore and he's depressed and yada yada yada. Then he gets into a car accident and he's like, my life sucks, basically. Everything's going against him. David Ponder hit the skids. And then all of a sudden he finds himself time traveling back into time, and he goes from like he meets a bunch of different famous people, from like Abraham Lincoln to Anne Frank to people in wars that are at critical points in time, and he gets to talk to them, and he gets transported back in time to these critical times and events for some famous historical figures, and he gets to ask him questions, and they like know that he's there for whatever weird reason, like they've experienced this before, it's like a thing, and they're like guiding him and answering his questions. And he the moral of the story of this particular book was, what is it, like, the traveler's gift will challenge you, inspire you, and give you 7 decisions you can employ to determine your own personal success. It's basically about like, you don't have a lot of control of everything, but you can control your choices you make daily, kind of thing. So it's very, I don't know, it doesn't sound probably that great, in general. And it wasn't that good of a book. But that said, it did spark a thought. So because it sparked a thought, I wrote about it in my Your Magical Learning Journey. So this is book 118. The reflection title that I got from this one is The Thin Thread That Leads from You to Hundreds of Thousands of Other Lives. And that was one of the biggest things that I couldn't stop thinking about after I read this book. This Your Magical Learning Journey, like every single day, what we do matters, not just to yourself, but to everybody else, right? We talk about the compound effect. We talk about karma with the Hindu religion. We talk about whatever you want to call it. It's that power of what you do today and the downstream ramifications of it, whether or not you meant to cause it or not. That's one of the things that the author talked about a lot in this book, was whether it's present, history, or future. It's just a great reminder that, like, what you and I are talking about today, what I write about every single day, the stuff that I do with Amelia every single day, like, it may be just for me and it may be just for my own purpose, but that purpose, it gets thrown into the world, right? Like, and from where the universe takes it from there, like, who the hell knows? We could wake up tomorrow and for whatever weird reason, some conversation that we had changed somebody's life, and that changed somebody else's life and changed somebody else's life. That's insane. There's this tiny little thread that connects you through these conversations. It could be potentially hundreds of thousands of people in all different times and places of history, right? Like, I mean, it could be 1,000 years from now, and somebody's like talking about the Chris and True's nightly conversation they had about book 118, and that somehow has an impact on their world. And it's pretty incredible. I mean, it's just crazy to think about how interconnected this whole life is, and how every single day when you live your purpose and you do the things that matter to you and you express your values through actions, while it may just be for you, and that's absolutely how it should be. You should never live your values for somebody else, or you should never live somebody else's values if you have the choice, right? But at the end of the day, every single time that you do that, it puts a ripple effect of karma, of compound effect, or whatever it may be, out into the world. And someday, somewhere, in some point in time, like, it's gonna matter to somebody else. And it just, it's just something that, it's hard to fathom sometimes, of like how cool that is. What we're doing right now could save somebody's life someday. I don't know. I mean, and it's just kind of crazy to think about, right? So that was what this thought, the time traveler, right? Because this guy's going back into time and he's learning lessons from other people, but then he could go apply it in his own life, and then it carries on and on and on, right? While my focus is living for 2 every single day and expressing my values for myself and for my daughter. That's primarily what our goal is. But I can't forget that living your purpose is also in servitude of other people as well, and that's pretty powerful. So I'll pause there. Love to get your thoughts. The question I asked was, what ways have you learned that your actions have played an unknowing role in a stranger's life. So like things that you don't even know that you did that impacted, somebody else, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or something like that, where they're like, oh yeah, I know True did this for this person. And then all of a sudden it impacted my life. So that was kind of what came to mind for me. But yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so I love the fact that you say, living your core values is in service of others. And because while you were talking about your reflection, the beaver must dam bumper sticker
Right.
true aphorism comes to mind, because
Yeah.
we looking from if we looking from our perspective is, we want to do what we want to do when we want to do it and how we want to do it. It sounds very selfish,
Right.
very, very selfish, but the essence of doing the thing that you are meant to do and doing it because you wanted to do when you want to do it is actually part of a bigger compound effect, bigger ecosystem. Going back to what I referred to in terms of the beaver must dam, look at California. When you get
Right.
rid of the beaver, right? What happens to California? I mean, it's a
It's all
tragedy,
jacked
right?
up. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, to me, that reminds me of, we always should be striving to do the things that we are meant to do. What does that mean? And for me, I don't know what does it mean for everybody, but I can't speak for everybody else either. But for me, it's about how do I feel when I do these activities, right? Do I feel good about it or do I feel dreadful? If I
Right.
feel good about it, I mean, like I have the affinity to do it. I have the talent or born in abilities that I was just similar to a beaver. They are born with a pelt that is waterproof and it allows them to swim in the water, allow them to build that dam, and they could build dam better than anyone. And that's what they are meaning to do, and they love it. It's not like they had to; they wanted to.
They just
And
love it. Yeah.
so, and so, a lot of time we are brought up in society where we say, well, we're gonna have to live in a way that is fitting of some image of whatever or whoever that society portrays you. Hey, you should, be like Michael Jordan or Tiger Wood or Jesus or Abraham Lincoln or whatever, right? They have their own unique skills and that's what they want to do. Yours is different. You can be selfish. Selfish is also service to other. You don't do your part.
The right selfish. The wrong.
Right.
There's a bad selfish and a good selfish.
So
But
you
yeah.
have to do your part, right? And don't think that way. It's going to, wreak havoc on the ecosystem. It's actually because you're doing your thing, it allows the ecosystem to continue to run. If you don't, it disrupts that. Just like the beaver, if you take the beaver and stop it from making dams, then you see
the negative karma. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
it's when you don't do meaningful work, like bad stuff happens. Like, and it's the compound effect.
I mean, if you don't do meaningful work, it's bad stuff already. Meaning, like you hate your job because that's not what you want to do. It's not when you want to do it. You hate it because, for example, you love to write, but somebody tells you, "Hey, Chris, you need to write me a book, and I need you to write it in this way. I need you to write this kind of story, this topic." It's gonna make you go insane, even though you love to write. The thing is, it's about that. You gotta figure out what it is you like to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it. Those three things, it's gonna make you have meaningful work. You're gonna enjoy the work that you do in those three combinations of ingredients.
Right.
Because if, for example, you like to work and you can decide when, but you can't decide how, it's not gonna work. It's going to be dreadful. So if you take away any of those three ingredients, any one of them, it will not make it meaningful. Right? You can't control, like, okay, you control the when and the how, but you can't control the what. Well, it's not going to work either. Same thing is you can control the what and the how, but you can't control the when, right? If the when say, you have to write this book when your baby's crying or, or whenever you have something else to do, and it's going to be dreadful. It's stressful. And so to me, those three ingredients plus the mindset of you are doing the world a favor by doing what you are meant to do. versus the opposite way where people say, hey, you're supposed to do what other people tells you to do because that's in service of,
Yeah, that's
humanity.
right. That's in service of, go do this job, at so and so company because we need utilities like I don't know. Yeah, but you're right. Like if you're just doing marching orders like in the military or whatever, like look, if you want to serve your country and for whatever reason that fulfills a purpose of protection and other values and
If you want to
family and
do it,
like,
right? If
do
you
it.
want to
Like,
do it, that's fine. But
right.
don't do it because hey, somebody said you have to be in service of your
There's some
country in
honor.
that manner.
Right.
You can say, well, I can still be in service of my country. I can be a scientist, for example. I can be a coder.
Right.
I can figure out how to like in world if I were in World War II, then I'll be in the Enigma project where I'm trying to crack the code or something like that, or be sitting there and listens to the signal and translate. I can be in service to my country in that way too. It doesn't have to be out in the forefront of infantry, because if I'm like really physically big, tall, and strong, then yeah, I'll be out there. You have to understand what comes before the other. And you can't just say that this is the only way to fulfill this kind of mission or this kind of goal that you set for yourself. And there are lots of ways to arrive, otherwise to skin a cat, for lack of a better word.
Here's why I think this is so important is because you may not think it, but what you do matters. Like, I mean, it matters to a lot of people in this world. It may not seem like that. It may even seem like, who gives a shit what Chris and True are doing? Like, I don't know who gives a shit what we're doing. That's the point. Is like I somebody does. Like, it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. Like, and that's up to you to decide. You made a great example of when you're doing something that makes you unhappy. Let's just play a scenario out. You go to work, you're unhappy all the time. Then you come home, you're unhappy. Your wife hates you. You guys get a divorce. Then your kids hate you. And you're like, well, my kids, we don't get along or whatever. And then they go on and they have a bad relationship with their family. And then that person, kills somebody or something like that, or robs somebody, and that harms another family. And then like all these things happen because you like a stupid, like you just never know that thin thread, right? That connects you to just hundreds of thousands of ripple effects, downstream or upstream.
Right. A tiny changes could change a whole lineage of
it matters.
Ripple effects, right?
Yeah,
because that person who got killed, they could have changed. That guy would have died because the compound effect is so exponentially powerful. The more degree it further away from the point of the decision you make.
Once the universe takes your actions and decides to do whatever it wants to do with it, like that's out of your control, right? But what you can control is doing stuff that that you will be proud to put out into the world. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's karma. I mean, it's literally the word karma, right? It's the compound effect. It's when you put good karma into the world, good things happen. Maybe not to yourself, maybe not to the people around you, but it might, downstream impact millions of lives that add good to this world, versus karma can go both ways, right? That's the whole point of it. It just matters. Like what you do actually matters. I know that kind of is mind blowing because we're actually saying the opposite of don't worry about what anybody else thinks about what you're doing. Just do what matters to you. But like that's
because
kind of
it matters to other people. Right.
Exactly.
And so the point is we want to encourage you to do what matters to you, because that has a better and a bigger contribution to society than you may think.
It absolutely
does, but you don't think you're
exactly.
making you don't think you're making it. You feel bad because you are taught a different way. You taught to not be selfish. You taught not to be thinking about yourself only. You say, well, the company needs this salesperson to sell a lot of CRM software because the economy needs. And so that's the thing is, does it need Chris Sears to make the economy go down? Right. That's the thing. So it's okay for Chris Sears to say, well, I think I like something else better. Maybe I become a writer or a tennis player or a racquetball player, a whatever, right? So that's the thing is it's okay for Chris to think for himself and to do things that fits him better than say, okay, well, I guess I stay because, it's actually going to help the economy because they need people like me.
There's a difference between having skills and having passion, right? Like there's Oh, actually, it was in this Think Like a Monk book. There's like 4 quadrants. He did his own 4 quadrants. It's like stuff that you have skills at, but you're not passionate about. Stuff that you have.
Reflection when it comes.
Here we go. It's the 4 quadrants, right? Can you see this?
Yes.
1 is I have skill, but I have no passion. 2 is I have skill and passion. 3 is I have no skill, and then 4 is no skill but passion, right? I'm really passionate about pickleball, right? But I don't have any skill, you know, like for that to move up to this, like I got to spend a lot of time on here or whatever. And that's where I should probably spend my time to see if I can grow my skill set. Most of the time, I feel like most of our jobs are in this corner, right? You know, and this is the shit that we're talking about. Like we think that we're doing the right thing by saying, look, I have a skill to sell software, you know, like I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it, but like I'm not passionate about it. But you're like, this is how I got to feed my family, like, you know, or whatever it may be. Like, that's not what we're saying. Like, you know, if you, it's spend your time in this section of life and it'll eventually pay off. So like the job that I just quit and the job that I'm going to be doing now is I have skills in leading people. And I also have a passion for leading people. Right. So like, I am so excited about this particular role because I'm going to do a lot of the stuff that we talk about every single day, and I'm going to apply my meaningful work into an environment that I don't know what the hell is going to happen. My boss is either going to be the biggest genius that's ever hired somebody that's going to come in and think completely differently and try to manage a team in a corporate environment in a way that's like, you know, they've probably never seen before. If I can make one impact on one of my employees of helping them to put first things first in their life and to understand what their values are and to start to apply that meaningful work concept, who the hell knows where that ramification goes down the stream, right? That may change their entire family's ripple effect, and that may change so many other families' ripple effects off of me trying to do my meaningful work versus staying in skill but not passion. I keep doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to make any impact on anybody. As a matter of fact, it'll probably be the opposite.
Well, you will. You will make impact. It's just not the what impact you want to make.
Right. I mean, they're going to be like,
the ripple is going to happen whether or not you intend to.
That's true.
But the intentional ripple is going to have the impact. You say, oh, that's I'm part of that. You feel proud to say, yes, I did that. Not because, you know, okay, somebody, you know, down the line, whatever, got killed because you did something. Well, you don't want to say, hey, you know, that's the result of what decision I made today. So the ripple is always going to happen. But if you don't have passion and you have skills, right, the ripple is random. It's just whatever you do, when you decide not to do, the impact will not.
It's meaningless.
Exactly, meaningless. So you want to find the one that is meaningful. Go back to what I was saying before, is there are multiple ways to skin a cat. So there's multiple ways to achieve your objective. So there's not a single way to say, hey, this is the only way to make a living, right? The only way to make a living is what can you do and what people are willing to pay you for.
Right.
There's more options. You just have to explore that a little bit.
Right. Yeah. And when you do that, like we said, that thin thread on both ways,
and
you just have no idea.
Catching
right?
green lights.
Right, exactly. And like I said, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do something that's going to be, I guarantee you, I'm about to go do something that my boss and my boss's boss and my boss's boss's boss or whoever else, you know, that it probably has never seen before. Like I'm trying to do what we're doing with Clubbing and what we did with like the core values quest. I'm going to do that with my employees. Like, you know, and hell, they may not even know what the fuck is going on. They're going to be like, this is crazy. This dude's nuts. But some of them are going to resonate with it and some of them aren't, and that's okay. I'm there to try to help them to discover what's important to them, you know, and maybe they're coming into it going, this is a normal business. Like, I just want to do my job and go home. Like, you know, I have skills in this, but I don't really care. And that's fine.
But at the end of the day, why don't they care?
I don't know. That's the problem. It's like, if they don't care anyway, like, I don't really want to manage somebody that doesn't care, you know, like, I
exactly.
mean, like,
so that's the point, is how can you do good work if you don't care? That person is in the first quadrant. They have skills, but have no passion. You know where they stand, and the thing is, you going to say, well, you have skill, but apparently you don't have the passion. So you will you'll be able to give that person's evidence, say, look, you be better off finding things that you like to do. You're gonna save that person from having to spend another year or 2 years or 5 years at a place that's miserable.
I mean, that matters. Like, maybe that changes their marriage. Maybe that changes their future career trajectories. Maybe that, I don't know. It's just like, we don't know. All I know is I know what I want to do with my life. And I know that if I do, that this will have an impact on somebody, and that impact I'll feel proud about. but I'm doing it for
Mhm.
myself, the downstream thread that connects us to
Yes, the
hundreds of
outcome
thousands of lives, you
that
know?
the decisions has impacted.
Right. I mean, I know that I did what I was supposed to do, you know, and that's what matters, you know? So yeah, I mean, it was an interesting reflection, not a great book, but an interesting reflection. And,
Well,
you know,
it's a good
yeah,
reflection because
yeah,
you gotta give yourself permissions to think what it is that is meaningful for you, what
right,
matters to you. And so, to me, as far as the lesson's concerned, right? Give yourself permissions to think for yourself, to do things that matters to you.
no matter
So a
where you're
lot of
at.
time people have that wall, right? You say, well, I don't want to be this jerk that only thinks for himself and is selfish and that because that is what we've been taught or trained to think when while growing up. And
Right,
it could be feasible in real life because everybody has a different, I guess, needs and desire based on your genetic makeup. I
right,
mean, a lot of times you can't even make decisions in terms of like, let's say you want to play football, but you don't have
right.
the physique to do it, and you just can't do it, right? It's not possible.
It's
So
the
you say,
skill,
well,
it's the passion, but no skill, you know, like it's the,
the passion. I
right,
say I would like to sing, but I can't sing because I don't have the vocal cord. It doesn't
right,
matter how much you train me, I can't sing. And so to me, like those decisions are made for me. I can't. There's not like I decide to say, "Hey, I want to be a singer," and I can't be a singer. I
right,
can't decide to be Troy Aikman and be Troy Aikman, right? I can't do that.
right. Exactly. So it's an interesting idea. It's basically another way to think of the compound effect and to visualize it as impact on other people's lives.
Mhm.
And that's important because that's really what the compound effect's about. It affects your life, but it also affects everybody around you. And then it affects everybody around them, and it affects everybody around them, and it affects everybody around them. And then all of a sudden there's this thread between you and, you know, like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? You know,
Right.
where you're like, just because Kevin Bacon was living his best life and doing what was meaningful to him, he connected with all these different people, and he changed a lot of different people's lives, you know. And we all laugh at it because we call it 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. But you know,
Mhm.
I mean, if I'm Kevin Bacon, I'm going, damn, my meaningful work really had an impact, you know. Like
Yeah, and you should
everybody
be
has a
proud of
six
it.
degree, you know, they should be proud of it. Like you should be proud of what you did and what you put out into this world. And someday people are saying there's 6 degrees of true, you know, or 6 degrees of,
Mhm.
you know, of Chris or whatever it may be.
Yes,
So
I would
yeah,
love to see that.
yeah, it'd be amazing. But
Exactly.
awesome. Well, that's so a question we can leave with everybody is, are there any ways that you've learned that your actions have unknowingly played a role in somebody else's life that you found out later on? You're like, holy shit, like I didn't know that, you know, like that's crazy. Just because you know, I don't know, I fired you, you know, when
Mhm.
you were 20, and then all of a sudden, like 30 years later, you're running a new. Actually, I heard a good example on Think Like a Monk today. The guy that started WhatsApp, he quit his job at
Mhm.
some weird tech company, and he tried to apply at Twitter, and he
Facebook.
no, both. He first tried to apply at Twitter, and then they turned him down, and he went on Twitter, and he was like, can't get a job at Twitter, you know, all right, it's okay. I mean, I appreciate him. I'll still hang out with them. And then he tried to apply at Facebook. Same
Uh,
thing. He went on Twitter and talked about how he got declined to Facebook. And then that prompted him to go make an app. And that app turned into WhatsApp. And then he sold his Facebook someday. That's a great example. Kids keep
right.
doing what you're supposed to do, and it'll all come back around. So,
Mhm.
so anyway, all right, I'm done talking.
Enough of that. Yes.
Any final thoughts of the night?
That's it, man. Do what matters to you. And that is going to have more impact than you know.
Right. I agree. So keep doing what you're doing, guys. And we'll keep doing what we're doing.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah.